Welcome to Portfolio Web's tutorials. My name is Luis and I'm an official tape partner. Let me ask you one question. As a tape user, do you need more formatting options than what the multi-line text field offers? The current tape multi-line text field has some very basic formatting options. So we have here the text, headings, bullet lists, number lists, emojis. You can change the color of the text and you can have some highlights on the text. But what if you needed a more sophisticated HTML editor as a tape field? And in this video, I will explain how you can integrate the TinyMCE editor directly as a tape field. So let me show you how that looks like on tape. So let's open this project and let's open this editor. And as you can see here, you got the editor directly on tape. And in here, you can add images, you can add tables, you can change the formatting however you like with the full power of the TinyMCE editor. That's what we're going to be doing today. So let me show you our itinerary for this tutorial. First, we're going to show you the tools required. Then we're going to continue with the setting up the tape record. Then we're going to be setting up the Webstudio project. Then we're going to update the tape calculation, the webhooks, and do some testing. And finally, I'm going to show you some example uses. Let's begin by doing the tools required. The first tool that you're going to need is called Webstudio. Webstudio is an advanced web development platform that if you're a power user, a tape power user, I highly recommend that you get Webstudio. The flexibility you have with the tape API and Webstudio is so good. And I'm going to put my affiliate link below so you can follow up. The other tool that we're going to need is the TinyMCE open source library. I'm going to put a link of where you can find that. But if not, if you have a paid TinyMCE account, you can actually use your own API key instead of the open source one. Okay, so now let's continue with setting up the tape record. So we're going to go here to tape and we're going to create a new blank app. To do that, we're going to click the plus here to create the blank app. And we're going to call this one, let's call it Tiny Editor. I'm going to create it. Okay, so now that the app is created, let's customize the fields. So we're gonna need only 4 fields for this example. So I'm gonna go to the top right corner. I'm gonna click Customize Fields. And in here, let me first delete the files. I don't need files for this scenario. And the name, I'm gonna change it to title, just for my reference. I'm gonna click title. Perfect. And then the second field that we're going to create is called the multi-line field to put the raw HTML. So let's do that. Let's create the multi-line text field and let's call it a raw HTML. And then we're going to create it. Perfect. The next one we're going to be doing is a single line text, and this one is going to call the record ID. The next field is going to be a calculation, which will host the editor. We using an iframe. So we're going to do that. We're going to click here, going to click calculation. And for the name, I'm going to put it editor. And I'm going to copy paste the code here. Let me enlarge that. And it's going to be like this. So what this basic code basically do is takes the Webstudio staging link and put it as in the file URL and then put it inside an iframe. Very simple. So for this one, all you need to do is change here. You're gonna see record ID. You're just gonna simply select it from over here at record ID where the code says it. I'm gonna put this code in the forum so you can just copy paste it. Perfect. As you can see, the editor will appear down here. Right now, since we don't this link doesn't really exist, it's gonna show an error, but it's okay. We're gonna be changing that as we go on. So let's create that editor and we are all set on that end. So we created the fields. So now let's add the automation. So we're gonna go here to the lightning thingy and we're gonna create the automations. For this specific case, we only need 2 automations. So the first one is gonna be a webhook automation. So we're gonna click here when a webhook is received. And as for the title, I'm just gonna call it webhook. And for the filters, I don't need any filters, so I'm gonna remove it. And as for the actions, so we're gonna do, we only need 2 actions. We're gonna first do a search for records in the Tiny Editor, the app that we created. And for the filters, we're gonna be searching for the record ID and change this to is. For now, I'm going to leave it empty because I don't have the values from the webhook. We're going to be adding that later. So the second action that we need is an update the collected. So once we're going to update the collected. So the fields, all we need to do is change the raw HTML set value. And for now, we're going to leave it empty because we don't have the value from the webhook. So for update, let me do another change. I'm going to put this to silent. And then I'm going to create the automation. So that's the webhook automation that we created. So now for the second automation, it's going to be the one that is called when the record is created. So I'm going to change the name to this one to on create. And then I'm going to select when a record is created. And the filters, I don't need any filters. So all we need to do for this one is to update the record. And I need to update the raw HTML just to have a default value when the record is created. I don't want to leave that empty. And then the other one, which the important one, is to update the record ID. And for this one, you're going to put the ID here. I'm going to scroll all the way down here. I'm going to select this one, the record ID with the pound sign. Perfect. And as I said before, I'm going to put this to silent. Excellent. So those are the simple automations that we created. So as an overview, before going to the next section of the tutorial, we basically created some fields here, a title, a raw HTML multi-line text field, a single line text field to hold the record ID, and an editor calculation with some calculation to put an iframe of the editor. And then we went to the automations and we created a webhook automation, which has a search for records and an update the records. Then we created the second automation, which is on create. When a record is created, simply put a default value on the raw HTML and put the record ID. That's what we basically did on tape for this app. So now we're going to go to setting up the Webstudio project. So let's go to Webstudio here real quick. So in Webstudio, when you get your account, you're going to create a new project by clicking here. In my case, I'm just going to use this one, and I'm going to open this. And in here, what I need to do is I'm going to select on the top left corner, I'm going to select the pages. And in the pages, I'm going to create a new page by clicking this icon here. It says new page. And as for the title, I'm just going to put my editor. I'm going to put my editor as a title. And that in Webstudio, I need to create something that is called a dynamic page. A dynamic page allows it to connect to whatever data that changes in tape is going to be reflected here in Webstudio. To do that, we need a dynamic page. And all you need to do is you're going to do something like this. A dash, the 2 points here, and then tiny editor for this specific case. And then we're going to put the title of the page. Going to be my editor. And then we're going to click create the page. So now that the page is created, you're going to click it to open the navigator here. And now we're going to need to add several components inside the page. We're going to need adding all the components to be able to connect it later to tape. So the first component that we need is going to be the HTML embed. You're going to click the plus up here and click HTML embed. For now, I'm going to leave it empty. I'm going to add the code later, but for my reference, I'm going to change the title from HTML embed. I'm going to put TinyMCE.init. This doesn't do anything. It's just a title for references. And now we're going to add a wrapper here. I'm going to put a box. I'm going to change the name to wrapper. And I'm going to do some basic formatting here for the margin. I'm going to put auto on the left and auto on the right. And then for the max width, I want to put 1280 pixels. So after we add the wrapper, we're going to need to add a webhook form. So for the webhook form, we're going to go to the top here, the components, and scroll to data and webhook form. Okay, for the webhook form, we only need 3 things: a text area, a text input, and a button. That's all we need for this one. So let's do that. Let me open this. And in the form content, let me get this text input out of here. And then I'm going to go to the components and I'm going to select from the forms a text area. Let me put it up here for my references. Here we go. And then from here, I need the button. So let me get it out of here. and then the form content. What I'm basically doing here is taking the default values and putting them in the way that I like to organize it. So I don't need the form content, so I'm just gonna delete it. So we got the text input, we got the text area and the button. So let me put it in this position. So the text area is going to be hosting the editor, and in the text input, let me change the name to, for my reference, this is going to be the record ID, and for the text area, let me change it to editor. So just for my reference, and this button, I can put it as a submit button. This is a submit button, but just leave it like that. Okay, so now that we have this setup, the webhook setup, what we need to do now is connect the tape API. And to do that, we're gonna go to the body up here, and we're gonna go to settings on the right corner here. And what we need to do, we need to create a resource, a data variable resource. So to do that, we're gonna click the plus here. And for the name, let's put tape resource, just as a reference. And in the type, we're gonna click resource. And as for the URL, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this URL here. So let me paste it. And it's gonna be like that, api.tapeapp.com and all this. I'm gonna put all this info in the description so you can follow it. And then we're gonna create it. So now we need to do some, a little bit more, we need to add a few more methods and the headers and so on. So let's do that. So for now, let's put the method is going to be post. And as for the headers, we need to add two headers. The first one is going to be content type for the name. And for the value, it's going to be application JSON. And then we're going to add another header pair. And this one is going to be called authorization. And then we're going to have put the tape API. So to put the tape API, you need to put bearer and then a space, and then you're gonna get your API. To get your tape API, let's go back to tape, and you click your profile over here, and you click on the preferences, and down here in the API, you can see it here. So all you need to do is copy it, go back to Webstudio, and remember, you're gonna put the value, space, and then paste the API key. Perfect. And you have it over here, bearer and the API key. So now the next thing is we need to update the body. So we need to put a special code in there. So let's put that. I'm gonna click here, and you're gonna click this purple plus button here, and you're gonna put it full screen so I can see it, and I'm gonna paste this code. So what this code will basically do is basically a filter that will search for the record ID on tape. And if it matches, it's gonna put it inside the editor, the data. So to do that, you see here like this value. Let me show you how it works. So in the value, you're gonna put system dot, it's gonna be params and that tiny editor. So what this is it's gonna be the name of the page that you just created, and that's gonna be the dynamic value. So now that we have the code, we need to change this, the field ID. As you can see, it says like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need to change that with a real field ID for the field that we created on tape, which will be the record ID. Let me show you how to do that. Let's go back to tape, and on the app that you created, you're gonna go to the top right corner and click developer over here. And you can see here that you have the fields and the field ID. So the one that I need is this one, the record ID, field ID. I'm just gonna copy that one, and I'm gonna go to Webstudio, and I'm gonna paste it here in the field ID. And what that basically gonna do is that's gonna send the API call, and it's gonna search for that specific field ID. Okay, perfect. So now the next steps you're gonna see in the URL, we need to change the app that we need. So let's go back to here, developer, and in the developer, you're gonna create this app ID, which will be this one over here. We're gonna copy, gonna go to Web Studio, and we're gonna paste it over here. Perfect. So we got everything ready. So we got the filter ready. Perfect. So that's how we connect it. So now we're gonna go to get the update the webhook form. We need to do something in the webhook. So we're gonna go over here, and in the webhook form, we're gonna click here. And as you can see here in the webhook form, inside the setting, you see an action here. So in the action, we need to add the tape webhook. So let's go back over here to tape. Let's go to the automation. And in webhook, we're going to select this one, send webhook to. You're going to copy that one, go to Webstudio and paste it here in the actions. Perfect. Here we go. And before we continue on, we need to change the ID of the webhook form to this one, webhook.form. You can put whatever you want, but for this scenario, let's just use that one. And now let's continue on with the editor. We need to change some settings in the editor. And for the text area here, this is going to be the text area. You're going to put the ID editor. And for the name, let's just put editor, but I'm going to put it with a capital. And perfect. Here we go. And then we're going to continue with the record ID. And for the record ID, what we need to do is we need to call the variables that we created from the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the record ID. Let me change the name of the property first. I'm going to put record ID. And as for the value, here's what you're going to do. You're going to click the value here and you're going to take it from the tape resource. So let me just open the expression editor here so I can see a little bigger. And what we're going to do is we're going to click tape resource. That is going to be the data that actually, let me do something before doing that. Let me check the data first to see what we got. If you're going to refresh it here in the variable and you click inspect, you see that it's an invalid match. So this invalid match value undefined provided, what this means is I need to provide a value up here in Webstudio so he can search for that data. So let's do that. All we need to do, let me go back to tape and let me just create a random record here. Record sample, just as a reference. I'm gonna click save. There we go. I'm gonna update it and I need this record ID. So I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna go back to Webstudio, and on the top left corner here, you're gonna paste that code and then you're gonna click enter. That's all I need to do for now. So in the tape resource, I'm gonna refresh this. And now if I click inspect, I will be able to see the data that was created. So with that data pulled from the API, I'm gonna go back to where we were, which we were in updating the record ID in the webhook form. I'm gonna go to the webhook form, and in the value, you're gonna click the plus, purple plus button. I'm gonna open the expression editor, and you're gonna put tape resource, that data, that data, and we're gonna put that data, the records, and then zero, record zero, and then we're gonna put way down here, I'm gonna put, where is it? Record ID, this one. Perfect. And now I'm gonna close this and boom. And you will get this error here, which is basically like when you do it like that, expecting a string value. So let's convert this to a string value by adding the template literals. Let's do that real quick. Let me select this, add it in the template literals real quick, and then like so, boom. There we go, close, and perfect. That's fixed. So what this basically do is it's gonna pass the value into the webhook. That's what's basically gonna happen. And the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add the change over here in the webhook form, the success and the error messages. So if you click here, you will be able to go from the webhook to the success down here. Perfect. And I'm just going to change the success message to something else like this, content updated on tape. And then I'm going to go webhook form again. I'm going to change the error, select it here on the left. And then I'm going to change the code text content over here. There we go. And now for the final thing that we need to do is we need to update the submit button. So let me go to the webhook forms, say change the state to initial. And then in the button, I'm gonna be changing the ID. Perfect. So the ID is gonna be submit BTN, we submit button. So we already have all the webhooks set up appropriately. So now the next step is we're gonna need to connect this one, create the code for the TinyMCE to put it here to these changes to the TinyMCE editor. So let's do that real quick. You're gonna select the HTML component over here, go to settings, and in the code, you're gonna click the plus purple button. I'm gonna open it, and we're gonna add some code here. So let me just copy paste it. So you can see here, and let's paste it, boom. So let me put a full screen so we can see. So this is basically the code here that we need. And from this code, all we need to do to change is this one, the content. So the content is gonna be the HTML that's coming from tape. I want the editor, when it loads, I want to load the content from tape. So let's do that. Let's change the tape resource here. So to do that, we're gonna delete all of this. And what we're gonna do, let me minimize this. We're gonna put the tape resource, and then we're gonna be that data, that records, that 0, which is the item that is found, and then it's going to be fields that, okay, so this one you see 0, 1, 2, 3. So these are the fields that are in your app. So if we go back to tape, we go to developer over here. So title is going to be at 0, and raw HTML is going to be 1. I need field 1. So let's go back to Web Studio, and we're going to select 1. And then we're going to create, see the external ID, and I'm going to see the values, that 0, and that I'm going to need the unformatted value. Perfect. So now that's it. And we got everything set up. Perfect. So now what we're going to do, everything should be working. And I can just do a test here. Oh, before doing that, I want to activate this client only and run script on canvas because I want to see what's going on. So let's activate this, and boom, there it is, the editor. And if I click the preview up here, you can see like the editor is already here with the submit button. Perfect. And as you can see here, the content is already in the editor. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make some adjustment to the wrapper. I'm gonna add a little bit of margin on the top just for just because I like it that way. Just a margin on the top of 10, let me put 15 pixels just because. Okay, so perfect. Everything is set up. The webhook is set up. I selected the action put the tape webhook in the action. I updated the editor. I'm passing the record ID, and perfect. So now what we need to do, we need to follow up to update the tape calculations webhook and do some testing. So let's first publish this by clicking publish on the top, and I click publish in Web Studio. And this is really fast. So while this publish, I'm gonna go back to tape, and in tape, I'm gonna need to get to update the calculation. That's the first thing we're gonna do. So we're gonna go up here to customize fields, and in the calculation, we're gonna update this web link here. So we're gonna do, let me go back to Web Studio, and I'm gonna copy from the top left corner here. You see like this, it says the name of the page, and there's like a symbol here. You're gonna click this one, copy the code, and perfect. And we're gonna go back here, and you're gonna paste it over here without removing the record ID. So you're gonna paste it, and now let me just delete the number and dash thing on the record ID, and then I'm gonna click save. Perfect. So I just updated the calculation field, and then we're gonna go and the record that we created, and boom, write the content here. So as you can see here, the HTML is over here. So now what we need to do, we're gonna do a test run because we need to update the webhook. So that's what we need to do. So let me do a test run here. So let me open the webhook and make sure I'm gonna deactivate both of these. And the reason I'm deactivating them is because if they don't have a value, it will show me an error. So just to prevent that error. So once it's updated on Web Studio, once you publish the changes on Web Studio, we're gonna do a test here. We're gonna change the content here so we can update the webhooks in tape. So what we're gonna do is let's just write something here. Write something here. And you have so much flexibility now with this. You can add bold, italics. Let's actually add a table here. 2 columns, heading 1, heading 2, and you can change it to whatever you like here from the paragraph. Heading 3, content here, content there. Perfect. See, you have full flexibility. So now we're gonna send a text directly to the webhook. So we're gonna do here, gonna click submit, and what's gonna do is says content updated on tape. Perfect. So now we're gonna go to the automations, open the webhook, and then you're gonna see here that you get the editor here, pop, 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 and the webhook payload. Actually, let me, instead of showing the variables, let me show the payload because it's a little cleaner. So you can see here, you got the editor and the record ID. So now let's update the values that I just put deactivated. And let me activate them again. And the record ID, you're gonna click add, and the webhook is gonna be this one, webhook payload, record ID, and the raw HTML. What you need to do is click add, and it's gonna be editor. It's gonna be this one. And now I'm gonna click save. Perfect. So now that was just a test. So let's go back here. And now, since the data was not received by tape, this didn't update it, but let's just test it one more time. So let's add something new. Let's put this as a heading 2, and let's add something in text here. I put so, and then let's add a table again, just for reference, boop. And then hello to, hola. And the last one, I'm gonna put adios. And then I'm gonna click submit. And when you submit the content updated on tape, you can see up here that the raw HTML was added from the content. And the cool thing is that even if you get out of here and you refresh the volume, it's still gonna be there and it's gonna refresh from the content. So you will be able to edit it however you like. And the cool thing is this works for all the records that you create. So let's see that you create a new tiny editor here, and then just add the title, and you're gonna click save. And you can see, boop, the editor was updated here. It added the record ID, it added the default raw HTML, and then here I can just change anything, change the values. You can add pictures, you can add tables. So I'm gonna start a bullet list, bullet 1, name 2, just as random. Let's add a picture by putting the source, and so on, whatever you need to, just for references. And then you can click this, and then you just click submit, and the changes will be saved. One thing though, and what's gonna show you, one thing that I really like is I can see the source code here, which is very useful if you want to edit the source code instead of the editor itself. And also it has this option to see the preview. And there's another thing that it has, like if you click here, the open editor, a new tab, you will be able to see it fully. But for now, let me just click submit so you can see what happens. And I'm gonna click content updated on tape, and you can see it here, change the values, bullet, excellent. And let me just click the open editor in new tab so you can see what happens. So what we're gonna do is it's gonna open the editor in a full screen view so you can change it however you need to. And if you click this button here, the full screen, it goes even bigger than that. So that's pretty cool. And you can change whatever, change here. And let me pop change, and let's put it in bold. And when you click submit, it's gonna content updated on tape, and you can close this. And you can see here, changes here is updated automatically. Okay, the last step in our tutorial is I'm gonna show you some example uses. So this is something I've been working on. It's a email marketing app, so you can send bulk email campaigns from tape. So let's say that you're sending a sequence of emails. You can send, let's say, 5 or 6 emails in a sequence of days. So let's say that you wanna send a different email for each one. So this new thing allows us to have an HTML editor directly in the field. So this is gonna be the email that's gonna be sent to all the subscribers here, and you can change it however you like. You can change the source code here, and you can edit it however you like, and so on. Let's see, this is the first email, then the second email is gonna be sending over here, and you can see, boop, it changes, has an image, the balls, and everything you want, and the HTML source code, you will be able to see it over here, which this is what the email will receive. So this is a very good use case. Now for the conclusion. If you need any help with setting up this on tape, please reach out to Luis at portfolioweb.com and I will be happy to help you out. It's really good, really powerful, and it's actually not that hard to set up. But in case you need any help, just contact me at luis at portfoliowebs.com and I will be more than happy to help you. So thank you for watching this video and have a good day, okay?